first vibration strikes the narthex wall. Where the gray dust of exhaustion has settled over the years, and the initial melody is a draft of cool air through a heavy bronze door. It begins not with a shout, but with the click of a rosary against a wooden pew, and the slow, deliberate ignition of a beeswax taper. This is the first song of the 8, a respiration for the breathless, where the lungs of the soul are invited to expand against the corset of old sorrows. We speak here of the morning of the optic nerve, when the stained glass finally catches a fractured sunbeam and turns a monochromatic grief into a kaleidoscope of ruby and sapphire. The healing starts in the retinas as they learn to see the architecture of a sanctuary that was built to outlast the tremor of our hands. Underneath the vaulted arches, the second movement rises as an unction of scented chrism and crushed hyssop. It is the hymn of the tactile oil sliding over the forehead to seal the cracks in the intellect where doubt has leaked in like winter rain. Hear the choir hums a low sustained drone that mimics the steady pulse of a sleeping heart, finally at peace. There is no jagged rhythm here, only the smooth surface of a silver painting reflecting a face that has forgotten how to smile. The music pulls the shrapnel of regret from the muscle tissue of the spirit and replaces the iron with the softness of white linen, washed in the waters of a distant Jordan. It is the melody of the mendicant who finds a feast in a single crumb of hope. The third invocation is a polyphony of the ancestors, where the voices of the choir become a ladder of interlocking intervals. Each note is a stone in a cathedral wall, supporting the weight of the note above it. This is the song of collective endurance, where the individual ego is submerged into the resonant body of the church. We sing of the communion of the broken, where every fracture in one soul is reinforced by the wholeness of another. The harmony is complex and dense, like the interlacing branches of a cedar of Lebanon, providing shade for the weary traveler who has walked too long under the scorching sun of secular demands. The healing here is found in the disappearance of the lonely self into the majestic us. As the fourth song unfolds, it takes the shape of a deep subterranean water flowing beneath the crypts where the martyrs rest in silent vigil. This is the hymn of the baptismal font, the cold plunge into the mystery of rebirth, where the grime of the world is sloughed off like a dead skin. The rhythm is syncopated and fluid, mimicking the ebb and flow of a tide that obeys a lunar grace we cannot see, but can only feel in the rising of our blood. It is a song for the thirsty, whose throats have been parched by the salt of their own tears. And it offers a vintage that does not intoxicate, but clarifies the mind until the path ahead is visible through the mist of the valley. The fifth movement is the golden song of the monstrance, a radiance that vibrates at a frequency higher than the human ear can register, but which the marrow of the bone understands perfectly. It is the music of the center of the universe, pulling every stray thought back to its origin. The choir whispers the syllables of ancient Latin, not as dead words, but as living seeds planted in the fallow ground of the heart. This is the medicine of presence, where the healing occurs simply by standing still in the light of the invisible King. There is a weightiness to this hope, a gravity that anchors the drifting spirit to the bedrock of a promise made before the foundations of the stars were laid. In the sixth canticle, we hear the sound of the thurible swinging on its silver chains, a rhythmic clinking that accompanies the rising smoke of the frankincense. The music becomes atmospheric and ethereal, as if the prayers are being carried upward on the backs of angels. This is the hymn of the ascent, the healing of the vertical relationship, where the bent back of the sinner begins to straighten. We are no longer looking at the dust of our origin, but at the constellations of our destination. The lyrics are a tapestry of psalms woven into a modern urgency, asking for the strength to climb the mountain of the Lord with clean hands and a heart that has been scrubbed by the rough wool of penance. The seventh song is the most difficult for it, is the song of the great silence after the final chord has diminished into the rafters. It is the healing of the ear that has been deafened by the cacophony of the world's demands. In this hollowed out space, the hope is a quiet ember glowing in the dark of a Saturday vigil. It is the patient waiting for the stone to roll away, the confidence that the silence of God is not an absence, but a profound preparation. The choir breathes in unison, a rhythmic sigh that signals the end of the struggle and the beginning of the rest.
The verdict hangs in the heavy air of the praetorium, like a shroud before the burial has even begun. There is a terrible stillness in the iron of the Roman decree, a cold finality that contrasts with the fevered pulse of the gathering crowd. You stand in the center of the judgment hall, the king of infinite space, bound by cords of hemp and the arrogance of men. The journey does not begin with a leap, but with a single excruciating acceptance of the wood. It is a rough-hewn timber, a cedar of Lebanon turned into an instrument of gravity, resting its jagged weight upon a shoulder already mapped with the crimson furrows of the scourge. This is the cadence of our redemption, the rhythmic thud of sandals against the parched limestone of Jerusalem, the first slow movement of a liturgy written in salt and breath. We walk beside you now, not as distant observers of an ancient tragedy, but as pilgrims tracing the geography of our own failures upon your skin. The path is narrow, and the stones are unkind, sharp edges that catch the hem of your tunic as the first fall occurs. There is no majesty in the dust, only the brutal reality of gravity meeting the exhaustion of the divine. Your palms press into the grit of the earth, the same soil you once breathed life into, now rising to coat your lips in a dry, suffocating veil. It is the weight of every hidden shame, every silent betrayal, pressing your forehead toward the cobbles. Yet, the movement does not cease. The prayer is in the rising, the slow and trembling leverage of bone against the insistence of the ground. In the midst of the clamor, a momentary silence blooms as a mother's eyes find yours. It is a silent dialogue of shared swords, a piercing recognition that goes beyond the capacity of words to hold. Her grief is a mirror, reflecting the blue of a Galilean sky now darkening under the shadow of the gallows. And then comes the stranger, Simon of the scorched hills, his hands calloused from the plow and the vine, forced into a fellowship of timber. He did not ask for this grace, this proximity to the sweat of God, yet as he leans his strength into the cross, he discovers that the wood is lighter when shared with the one who upholds the stars. It is the mystery of Lent, the realization that our burdens are never carried in solitude, but are woven into the very fabric of your ascent. A woman steps forward with a cloth of linen, defying the wall of spears to offer a mercy of silk and water. In that brief contact, the sweat and blood of the world are wiped away, leaving an imprint of the holy face upon the fabric of our compassion. It is a testament that even in the most desolate hour, the image of God remains indelible, waiting to be revealed by a gesture of simple kindness. But the hill of the skull looms closer now, and the falls become more frequent, more devastating. Each collapse is a deeper immersion into the frailty of the flesh, a profound descent into the dark valley where humanity loses its way. You are teaching us how to die to ourselves, how to let the ego crumble into the dust, so that the spirit might find its wings in the very shadow of the cross. The daughters of Jerusalem weep with a sound like the desert wind, their laments rising in a fragmented hope. You turn to them, not with the bitterness of a victim, but with the clarity of a prophet, bidding them weep for the future, for the children who will inherit a world of thorns. The ascent's nearly complete, and at the summit of the barren mount, the final stripping begins. They take the garments woven without seam, leaving you exposed to the biting air and the mockery of the onlookers. It is the ultimate poverty, the stripping away of every dignity, until only the raw truth of love remains. The iron meets the wrist, the hammer finds its rhythm, and the sound echoes through the corridors of time, a rhythmic tolling that marks the end of the old covenant and the agonizing birth of the new. 3 hours of obsidian darkness swallow the sun, a cosmic mourning for the light of the world. The air grows thin, the lungs labor for a single word of forgiveness, and the thirst of the Creator is quenched with the vinegar of our rebellion. It is finished. The tension of the universe snaps as the last breath is surrendered to the Father, and the earth itself trembles in the convulsion of grief and recognition. The veil is torn from top to bottom, exposing the heart of the mystery now. The descent from the wood is a quiet affair, a slow lowering into the arms of the grieving mother. The paita of the twilight, the body cold and silent, is carried to the garden, to a tomb carved from the silence of the rock. The stone is rolled into place, a heavy seal
upon the hope of the world, leaving us in the stillness of the Saturday, waiting in the powerful Lenten hush for the first tremor of the dawn.
The first vibration strikes the narthex wall, where the gray dust of exhaustion has settled over the years. And the initial melody is a draft of cool air through a heavy bronze door. It begins not with a shout, but with the click of a rosary against a wooden pew, and the slow, deliberate ignition of a beeswax taper. This is the first song of the 8, a respiration for the breathless, where the lungs of the soul are invited to expand against the corset of old sorrows. We speak here of the morning of the optic nerve, when the stained glass finally catches a fractured sunbeam and turns a monochromatic grief into a kaleidoscope of ruby and sapphire. The healing starts in the retinas as they learn to see the architecture of a sanctuary that was built to outlast the tremor of our hands. Underneath the vaulted arches, the second movement rises as an unction of scented chrism and crushed hyssop. It is the hymn of the tactile oil sliding over the forehead to seal the cracks in the intellect where doubt has leaked in like winter rain. Here the choir hums a low sustained drone that mimics the steady pulse of a sleeping heart finally at peace. There is no jagged rhythm here, only the smooth surface of a silver painting reflecting the face that has forgotten how to smile. The music pulls the shrapnel of regrets from the muscle tissue of the spirit and replaces the iron with the softness of white linen, washed in the waters of a distant Jordan. It is the melody of the mendicant who finds a feast in a single crumb of hope. The third invocation is a polyphony of the ancestors, where the voices of the choir become a ladder of interlocking intervals. Each note is a stone in a cathedral wall supporting the weight of the note above it. This is the song of collective endurance, where the individual ego is submerged into the resonant body of the church. We sing of the communion of the broken, where every fracture in one soul is reinforced by the wholeness of another. The harmony is complex and dense like the interlacing branches of a cedar of Lebanon, providing shade for the weary traveler who has walked too long under the scorching sun of secular demands. The healing here is found in the disappearance of the lonely self into the majestic us. As the fourth song unfolds, it takes the shape of a deep subterranean water, flowing beneath the crypts where the martyrs rest in silent vigil. This is the hymn of the baptismal font, the cold plunge into the mystery of rebirth, where the grime of the world is sloughed off like a dead skin. The rhythm is syncopated and fluid, mimicking the ebb and flow of a tide that obeys a lunar grace. We cannot see, but can only feel in the rising of our blood. It is a song for the thirsty, whose throats have been parched by the salt of their own tears, and
It offers a vintage that does not intoxicate, but clarifies the mind until the path ahead is visible through the mist of the valley. The fifth movement is the golden song of the monstrance, a radiance that vibrates at a frequency higher than the human ear can register, but which the marrow of the bone understands perfectly. It is the music of the center of the universe, pulling every stray thought back to its origin. The choir whispers the syllables of ancient Latin, not as dead words, but as living seeds planted in the fallow ground of the heart. This is the medicine of presence, where the healing occurs simply by standing still in the light of the invisible King. There is a weightiness to this hope, a gravity that anchors the drifting spirit to the bedrock of a promise made before the foundations of the stars were laid. In the sixth canticle, we hear the sound of the thurible swinging on its silver chains, a rhythmic clinking that accompanies the rising smoke of the frankincense. The music becomes atmospheric and ethereal, as if the prayers are being carried upward on the backs of angels. This is the hymn of the ascent, the healing of the vertical relationship, where the bent back of the sinner begins to straighten. We are no longer looking at the dust of our origin, but at the constellations of our destination. The lyrics are a tapestry of songs woven into a modern urgency, asking for the strength to climb the mountain of the Lord, with clean hands and a heart that has been scrubbed by the rough wool of penance. The seventh song is the most difficult for it. It's the song of the great silence, after the final chord has diminished into the rafters. It is the healing of the ear that has been deafened by the cacophony of the world's demands. In this hollowed out space, the hope is a quiet ember glowing in the dark of a Saturday vigil. It is the patient waiting for the stone to roll away. The confidence that the silence of God is not an absence, but a profound preparation. The choir breathes in unison, the rhythmic sigh, but rhythmic sigh. The choir breathes in unison, but with the compunction of every past. The choir breathes in unison, the choir breathes in unison. The choir breathes in unison, the choir breathes in unison. The choir breathes in unison, the choir breathes.
In the hallowed quiet of the domestic cathedral, where the scent of beeswax mingles with the steam of the evening meal, we invoke the daughter of the Father to stand guard at the threshold of our shared lives. O Mary, whose womb was the first tabernacle, and whose arms were the first throne for the King of Peace, cast the translucent veil of your protection over the lintel of this house. For here the mundane becomes the mystical, and the daily bread is broken in the shadow of the cross. You who knew the rhythm of the loom and the weight of the water jar, in the dusty heat of Nazareth, look upon the intricate weave of our relationships, where the threads of individual wills often fray against the friction of proximity. We bring to you the covenant of the marriage bed and the sanctity of the kitchen table, asking that the wine of our affection, which so often runs thin in the drought of routine, might be replenished by the miraculous overflow of your Son's inexhaustible grace. Turn your gaze toward the union of husband and wife, those two disparate souls bound by a vow that echoes the fiat of your own yielding heart. When the silence between them grows heavy with unspoken grievances, or when the clamor of the world threatens to drown the whisper of their initial love, be that spans the abyss of misunderstanding, grant them the fortitude of Joseph and the tenderness of your own embrace, so that their partnership may not be a struggle for dominance, but a mutual pilgrimage toward the eternal May. Their patience be like the cedar of Lebanon, deep-rooted and resilient, and may their forgiveness be as frequent as the rising of the morning star, washing away the residues of anger before the sun sets upon their hearth. We entrust to your eternal vigilance the blossoms of our heritage, the children who carry the torch of our names into a future we shall not see. You who watch the Christ child grow in wisdom and stature, protect the innocence of these small ones from the biting frosts of a cynical age. May their laughter be the music of our halls, and their growth be directed by the light of the gospel as ivy climbs toward the sun. When they stumble on the jagged stones of adolescence or wander into the thickets of doubt, be the North Star that guides them back to the safety of the fold. Let them find in their parents a reflection of the divine fatherhood and your own nurturing mercy, so that the faith they inherit may be a living fire rather than a cold ember of tradition. Intercede, O Mother of Unity, for the fractures that divide our kin, for the ancient grudges that sit like uninvited guests at our feasts, and for the coldness that creeps into the chambers of the heart. We ask for the healing of the family tree, from the gnarled roots of the ancestors to the newest buds of the infants. Let the rosary be the chain that binds us, not in servitude, but in the freedom of a common hope, each bead a footstep on the path toward the great reconciliation. In the hours of sickness, be the cooling hand upon the brow. In the hours of grief, be the steady shoulder upon which we weep. And in the hours of joy, be the Magnificat that rises from our lips in day of gratitude. May this house be a vessel of hospitality, where the stranger is welcomed as the hidden Christ, and where the elderly are honored as the keepers of our sacred memory. Teach us that unity is not the absence of struggle, but the presence of charity, a seamless garment woven from the countless small acts of sacrifice that no one sees, but the angels as the evening shadows lengthen. We gather once more to commend our spirits to the night. Let our last thought be a prayer for the world's families, that every home may